You have a memory of your fifth birthday, maybe the cake, maybe the candles, but you have no memory of learning to walk, no memory of your first word, no memory of the thousands of hours your mother held you and stared into your eyes. That time existed. You were there. So where did it go? Scientists call this infantile amnesia. It happens to every human being who has ever lived. For over 100 years, nobody could explain why. Babies are not blank. Right now, somewhere, an infant is learning the shape of its mother's voice. It is learning gravity by dropping a spoon over and over. So the brain is clearly recording something. The question is why that memory disappears completely. For decades, the theory was simple. Babies don't have the hardware yet. The hippocampus, the brain region that forms long-term memories, is still under construction. No hardware, no memory. Except that wasn't true. In 2016, neuroscientist Paul Franklin at the Hospital for Sick Children in Toronto studied infant mice. He found their memories were still there. But when researchers tried to retrieve them later, the mice acted as if the events never happened. The memories were not deleted. They were locked. Your brain was not too weak to remember your first steps. It was too busy building itself to file that memory anywhere you could ever find it again. In the first 2 years of life, your brain produces new neurons faster than it ever will again. Franklin's research suggests this flood of new cells, called neurogenesis, rewires the very network meant to store your earliest memories. Imagine building a library while books already sit on the shelves. Every new wall buries the old books. Not burned, buried. Franklin tested this on adult mice too, artificially boosting their neurogenesis back to infant levels. Their stable memories began disappearing, the same way in infants do. The mechanism never disappears. It just slows down. There's a second reason your early years vanish, and it isn't biology. It's language. Psychologist Catherine Nelson studied how children build autobiographical memory with a you inside it, a narrator. She found this develops alongside your ability to talk about your own experience. Before language, you had sensation, warmth, fear, the smell of a room, but no way to organize it into a story. And memory is a story. Without words, experience has nowhere to live. This is why most people's earliest memories cluster around age 3 or 4, right as language explodes. Not because nothing happened before, because there was no narrator yet to write it down. Psychologist Carol Peterson found that children with more vocabulary at the time of an event kept clearer memories of it years later. The language wasn't decorating the memory. The language was the container the memory needed to survive. There's a third piece. You did not experience your first 2 years the way you experience today, because time itself has to be built. Toddlers live in the present tense. There is no yesterday. Without a sense of past and future, an event cannot be filed as something that happened. You didn't have a shelf labeled the past yet, a stable hippocampus, a language system, a concept of time. Until all three arrived together, nothing could stick. Now think about what this means for you today. You did not start when your memories start. Somewhere in that lost stretch, a version of you was already learning who was safe and who was not. Mary Ainsworth's research on infant attachment showed that emotional patterns formed in the first year, long before conscious memory, shape how a person relates to others for life. You cannot remember learning to trust or distrust. You're still living inside the lesson. The memories that do survive from early childhood are often strangely minor. Researcher Patricia Bauer found these first fragments tend to be specific but emotionally small, a hallway, a toy, while events adults assume should be unforgettable are often gone or rebuilt later from photos and family stories. Elizabeth Loftus spent her career showing how easily memory reshapes itself under suggestion, feeling just as real as something you witnessed. What you retrieve is rarely a recording. It is a reconstruction. Cross-cultural research adds another layer. Psychologist Chi Wong found that children whose parents talk with them in detail about shared experiences develop earlier, richer autobiographical memories than children raised with less elaborative conversation. Some of what you forgot may never have been translated into words at all. So the forgetting was never really an erasure. It was compression. Millions of moments too unstable to store individually were distilled into something more efficient. Default assumptions about the world running quietly beneath conscious thought. Your brain kept the lesson and discarded the classroom. From an evolutionary standpoint, an infant brain has one overwhelming priority: rapid learning. It must absorb language, physics, and a social map of who is safe, all without prior experience. A brain built for that kind of explosive learning cannot also be built for permanent archiving. Nature chose learning speed over memory, because a fast-learning infant who forgets its first years still grows into a capable adult. So the blank space at the start of your timeline isn't a flaw. It's a design choice, inherited from millions of years of mammals whose survival depended on getting the fundamentals right quickly, even at the cost of ever looking back. So tonight, when you reach for that first memory, that first face, that first room, and come up empty, understand what you're looking at. Not a gap, not a failure, a construction site, a brain so busy becoming itself that it could not yet afford to look back. You do not remember your 5th birthday because your brain finally had somewhere to put it. You do not remember the years before because your brain was still building the shelves.